Shalom, this is the brother Ataza Wamia from GMS South Carolina camp. I want to first and foremost give all praises to Yahweh Shanal Shai. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, taught me this truth. Shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the truth and sincerity. Alright, today's lesson I want to emphasize, alright, one of the part of the curses, alright, about Jake being poor, alright, and that it will fall on the seed of Israel, because you still got reprobate, bugged out niggas out there that still do not want to accept the 12 tribe sign, alright, that says that the Negros, Latinos, and Native Americans are the true biblical Israelites. You either got some that say only the Negros are the Israelites, alright, and that Latinos and Native Americans don't fit none of the curses, so they can't be Israelites. Alright, but with this, with this sit down, hopefully you'll be able to see that they do fit them. Alright, and that they are the Israelites, and that the Latinos and Native Americans are not Asian. Okay, with this fact I'm about to bring out about the major gap between the gross income of households of Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those of the other nations. Alright, in this article. Okay, make it bigger so you can see. Alright, it's called Downtown Widens Racial Wealth Growth Gap. Alright, it's from July 26, 2011, so it's fairly recent. Okay, it says the wealth gap between American whites and minorities have grown wider during the recession, according to an analyst of the U.S. Central Census data. It says it found the median wealth of white U.S. households, alright, which is so-called white people, alright, or Caucasians, are the true biblical Edomites. Okay, they go back, their forefather goes back to Esau. Okay, and they're known as the wicked. Alright, and they're rich. Okay, which we got to show. Okay, households in 2009 was $113,149 compared to $6,325 for Hispanics and $5,677 for blacks. Okay, now that discrepancy right there alone is enormous. Okay, that's like major. It says these left whites with about 20 times the net wealth of blacks and 18 times that of Hispanics. Those ratios compare with 7 to 1 for both groups back in 1995. Asians also lost their top ranking to whites in median household wealth, more than having from $168,103 in 2005 to $78,066 in 2009. So how, answer me that, how can Latinos and Native Americans go back to the Asians, which are Asian is just a broad word for so-called Chinese and so-called Japanese and so-called Koreans. Okay, the Chinese and Koreans go back to a man named Moab. Okay, they're heathens. All right, as well as the Japanese go back to a man named Ben Amin, who became the progenitor of the Ammonites. So the Chinese, Korean are Moabites. Okay, and the Japanese are Ammonites, and they really go back to their origins go back to Lot. Okay, when you read about Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed, and and his two daughters being saved, they had sex with their father. They got him drunk, and he produced Moab and Ben-Amin, and Moab became the father of the Moabites, and Ben-Amin became the father of the Ammonites. You can read that in Genesis 19. Okay, that's their origins, and they doing pretty good. 78,000, even though they dropped significantly. They dropped a good portion from 2005, but they still towering over his so-called Hispanics and blacks. Okay, the report suggests Asian households were clustered in places such as California that were hit hard by the poverty market meltdown. The study complied by the Pew Research Center from 2009 data found the wealth gap was the widest it has been since the government began publishing such statistics by ethnicity in 1984, when the white-black ratio was roughly 12-1. Damn. Big declines. The data analyzed demonstrates that the economy recession, which plagued householding values and caused widespread unemployment, widened and extending racial gap, widened and existing racial wealth gap significantly. In other findings, about 35% of black households and 31% of Hispanic households had zero or negative net wealth in 2009. Meaning what? They're not pulling money in. The majority of the money they made working, if they were working, was going straight to bills and taxes and stuff. Okay? They wasn't seeing none of that money. Okay? It was coming in. When they got it, went straight back out. Okay? It says compared with 15% of white households. Okay? The share of wealth held by the top 10% of American households increased from 49% in 2005 to 56% in 2009. About 24% of all Hispanic and black households in 2009 had no access other than a vehicle, compared with 6% of white households. A station little change since 2005. What's pushing the wealth of whites is the rebounding in the stock market and the corporate savings, while younger Hispanics and African Americans who bought homes in the last decade are seeing big declines. Tim Simden, a University of Wisconsin medicine professor who specializes in income inequality, told the Associated Press news agency. Okay, yeah, because prior to the recession coming in, all right, when what was that? I think it was it was before the recession. A lot of Jakes, I remember this because I was still going to church or whatever, and I remember it because a lot of Negros, alright, and Latinos and Native Americans, they would stand up and give their little testimony or whatever. They say, "Oh, the Lord done blessed me with this house. I got this money from the government. Now I can get that house I always wanted. Thank you, Jesus." Alright. But when the recession came in and a lot of houses started foreclosing, a lot of those Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans didn't have that money to or they didn't have the capability to sell their house because nobody wasn't buying it, because the market had went down real low, and a lot of them had to foreclose, or the bank came and repoed their stuff. Okay, because they got most of that stuff out of loans, thinking that they was gonna make a quick buck either by getting the house and then do some work on it and then try to flip it, but then it backfired on them. Okay, so a lot of them are they suffering now. Okay, it says between 2005 2009, median net wealth of Hispanic households dropped by 66%, and that of the black households by 53%, according to the report. All right, so between that time when the recession started till 2009, where they got the statistics for this, they saw a dramatic, almost two-thirds of the Hispanic households net wealth went down by two-thirds, and over half for the so-called Negro population. Okay, it says that contrasts with the median net wealth of white households, which dropped by just 16%. So really, when the recession came, all right, and the foreclosing of houses, that really affect Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Yeah, it affected a small percentage of the Caucasian race and other nations that probably got into that. But for the most part, the people that suffered the most was the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And we're going to prove in the scriptures that what we're reading about now, this so wide of a gap of wealth, right? It proves that they have to be the Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, just off of these statistics, these facts. Okay, you can't argue facts. Okay, it says before the recession, housing equity accounted for about 66% of the net wealth of Hispanics and some 59% of black families. About 44% of the wealth of white families consisted of housing equity. Okay, this is a geological analyst of the study suggests a deportation share of Hispanics living in California, Nevada, and Arizona, states which have experienced some of the steepest declines in U.S. housing values. Why? Because in California, Nevada, and Arizona, right, the past couple of years, they've been hit with all types of wildfires, droughts, storms. Okay, them passing and making new laws to make it harder for Latinos, right, and Native Americans to live in those areas, because they passing more, they deporting more people now. Okay, right, so those states, and it ain't no jobs out there. It is no jobs in certain places of California right now. They cutting people off of benefits, all right, and there's no work. So a lot of people suffering in those areas. Okay, it says Hispanics and blacks are the two largest minority groups in the U.S., making up 16% and 12% of the population, respectively. Okay, since the figures reported in the Poorest study are based on the Census Bureau's survey of income and program participation, which surveyed 36,000 households on wealth from September to December of 2009. Okay, and that's a big gap. Okay, so let's go into the script.